Hey,
Hello, Jivan
did you?
Das Maharaj. It's you.
My Becky, it looked like you were just holding in a yawn right there. Did I have that right or not? You did one of these. Hello.
I don't think people on this who are listening to this podcast will be able to see what you did, but you can all imagine
That's
what holding in
true.
a yawn looks like. It's
Well
true. I
done,
didn't
it.
apparently hold it in very subtly because you noticed it. It's true. What can I
Into the
say?
details.
It's kind of a chill day here that we're
That's
talking.
great. It's true.
It
It's
is
true.
nice to have those days.
I know, it's nice. So, Guru. We're talking about the
Yeah,
Guru today.
we are. What better topic is there
It's
than
true. It's quite
the guru?
profound.
Especially for both of us. It's a big topic in our lives,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. 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 And I think that there's a lot of people that have a lot of different ideas about a guru. Those that are in the camp of, we could call the pro guru camp, the anti guru camp, and the what's a guru camp.
Three
Which
camps.
there's three. I don't know. I feel like there's probably not a lot of people who are in the what's a guru camp. I feel like it's kind of a polarizing topic.
They may know what they think. They may think they know what a guru is.
Yes.
Or maybe that's another camp nearby. That I think
Yes.
I know what a guru is, but I maybe don't actually know what a guru is. Which do you think is the biggest camp?
That one. I think I know what a guru is, and whatever the second thing you said was.
But I
that was
don't
great.
actually know what a guru is.
But I don't actually know. Because I was a part of that camp before I knew what a guru was. And I thought I knew. And the judgment and the ideas that I had about a guru is what kept me from being curious about a guru.
Yeah, and we also it's a word that we use colloquially,
That's true.
It has a lot of different meanings. I think when we think of a guru in terms of like, somebody with a turban who's like mind controlling people, that's the negative connotation. There's a lot of shows on TV about those kinds of people. And then we also use it in the sense of like, oh, they're a tech guru, or this is our IT guru, or this
Right.
is our hospitality guru, meaning really like somebody who is the expert and the most knowledgeable in a certain area, right?
Yes, totally. Well, I have strong feelings about a guru, but not as you are probably shocked to hear. But
Strong feelings about a guru or strong feelings about a guru?
my guru.
Your
Yeah,
guru.
of course. But I've been thinking about this a lot because I've been inside of how do I introduce people to the experience of a guru from someone that has had one for 17 years, right? And you have had a guru for 50 years or so. 40, 36.
That is mathematically precise. Yeah, I'd have to do math, right?
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop. 24 years. 25 years.
Amazing.
25 years, yeah. Half
So
we're
I've been
close.
thinking, yeah, well, half close, right? So I was thinking about this, and I've been thinking about like the benefits that I experience from having a guru in my life that are not just spiritual. Because when we're talking about guru, we're talking about the spiritual type of guru, not a car salesman guru or a tech guru, right? So, and I think that there is this idea that one has to be spiritual in order to have a guru, and I don't agree with that because I wasn't really a spiritual person per se when I met Saima. I was just suffering, and I was desperate to have my life feel differently in my life, have my life feel differently. Like I had a lot of things that were amazing. I was in grad school, and I loved what I was studying to become a therapist. I had an amazing group of friends. I had passions like rock climbing, and I was like playing a lot of music back then. And what else did I do? I was like, kind of meditating a little bit, but generally like I was running through the mountains and doing all kinds of things in the mountains. I was obsessed with like living outside and doing intense things in the mountains. But I was deeply suffering inside, and I couldn't understand why. So I went around talking to like therapists and like healers around the Boulder, Colorado area, which there are myriad people in that zone. I did men's work and did all these different things. And when I finally met Saima, the suffering that I could not find a solution for started to evaporate. just in the presence of Ma's community and her as a person per se. And then everything around me started to shift in a way that everything just got better. And there was an element of spirituality to it, in that I was sort of trusting like Saima's teachings on like how to live a passionate life, essentially. And so I started studying those teachings, and then everything around me became more and more optimized. I mean, every single aspect of my life. And so that's what that's what I want to share with people, is that it's not necessarily about spirituality, which I don't even really love that word, because I think spirituality is just a certain way to look at life as in its essence. And I'd rather say like life, but I don't know how to say spirituality without saying it. So anyway, I'm really passionate about having people understand the power, the opportunity that like having a relationship with a guru, what comes with that, and that everything is literally enhanced. I mean, everything in our life, in your life, in my life, has just gotten better through the relationship with a spiritual guru. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's so interesting, because we're both talking about Her Holiness Saima, which is how we know each other, and who is a huge integral part of both of our lives in so many ways. And I think it's interesting, tragic, challenging, whatever the right adjective is, that like they're, in terms of the cultural framework for spiritual gurus, it's so negative in terms of in American culture. And I won't even say for the West, because I'm not educated enough about how other Western countries view gurus. I know for sure, like in the East or in India, it's seen as a totally different way than it is in the US, obviously, right? It's like it comes from that culture, and it's seen as very much a natural part of daily life there, and there's tons of gurus, like everybody has a guru. It's like, but here it's very unusual in America to be somebody who has a guru or works with a guru or any of that kind of thing, and it has so much stigma that comes with it, that I think that there's a big like load that we have to navigate to get people to look at it in a different way, like what you're saying. Because I completely agree with what you're saying. It's so bizarre to me that is the way it is. It's like, actually, this thing is completely incredible, changes your life for the better, optimizes everything, provides magic in every format of your life, and yet, because of some Netflix shows, which are based in fact, and they pick the gurus out of the thousands and millions of gurus in the world throughout time, they pick the ones who have the same narrative, which is really around like greed, around abuse, around any of those kinds of stories. And those are the stories that are told, and those are the stories that people hear. So then it becomes very challenging to walk into a room and be like, have a conversation about having a guru without being confronted with that. And I think that, what I love about the way that we're talking about Ma now is embracing that, is leaning in and saying, yeah, and that's not the only narrative that there is. And there is this whole other experience of working with a guru, which I can say, it's so unusual compared to what most people experience. But being around Saima, being in the presence of somebody like Ma, who is this embodiment of pure love, and what that has done for me in my life. I think that so many of us are starving in ourselves for love, for that kind of true love. We don't get that from our parents. We don't get that from social media. We don't get that from people in our lives, not in that deep divine way. And that being in the presence of somebody who can bring that to us, can satiate and saturate ourselves with pure, unconditional, divine love, is transformative.
Yes.
I mean, it's a game changer.
Yes. I was thinking about how, like the idea, like there's sometimes a lack of curiosity around like finding out more about like that relationship or what a spiritual guru does, because I think there's such an innate lack of trust, which I think is well founded in a lot of ways in the United States, from the church or religion or various figures who have abused power in really terrible ways. So totally get it. And that very common theme that we've talked about around how a guru is going to like take my power or like get something from me. Will you share that example that you just gave that I thought was so good about the PA and the whole that whole thing? It was so good.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I was saying like this, for me, that idea, because people, like you're saying, would think like, okay, I don't want to give my power over to a guru because they're going to take it, or then I'm going to have no power, whatever that means. But I was thinking about that, like in terms of my own life and career, and I work in the film business. So like, imagine that I'm Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, and that somebody is a production assistant on the new season of Stranger Things. They're just fresh out of college and they're a PA doing lockups. And that person's like, I don't know. I don't want to give my power over to Reed Hastings. Like, I don't want to give everything up to them. And Reed Hastings, like, just does not need that person's power, whatever that means. That person doesn't have the kind of power that Reed Hastings has access to. That person has lots of power in their own life. And I'm sure, we all are the hero of our own story. So inside of their own mind, it feels like a lot. But in terms of the reality of the universe, Reed Hastings has a lot more collateral than that PA does. And I think it's the same thing with a guru, because I think that I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to give my power over to a guru, but that guru, and I think it depends on the guru, right? I'll speak about our guru, Her Holiness Sai Ma, has access to things that I can't even imagine, to so much power, to so much divinity, to these all the other realms in existence, and has can see energy and can work with energy. That what does Ma need my like limited tiny little power for? And also, like, how could I even like give that to Ma? What does that transaction look like? I'm just like, all right, here's my power, here you go. And then Ma's like, thank you. And then how does that even, and then I'm just like, I can't do anything anymore. I don't even understand that like logic if you were to follow it through.
I get it, because that's how I felt before I had met someone, before I had met Sai Ma, Ma was the first like spiritual master I had ever met before. So I really got it, and it really lived as a truth that like, no, this is mine. You can't, it was about control. It was about like feeling controlled, and like somehow if I gave my faith or my trust over to this person, air quotes, that then they would be able to control me in ways that were somehow not in my highest good, which is what I wanted to share about, is that I heard a different spiritual master say that enlightened masters or spiritual masters are delighted gardeners who are wanting to create gardens wherever, in humans, in people, and to create the best version of people wherever they go, and to bring that out in people. And it is totally completely unique. It's interesting because in my own little micro world of my work, when I work with youth and families, youth will kind of come into our program where we work with them and help them feel better and get better. And they will resist because they don't want to be controlled, right? And I say this, and I try to say it in so many different ways, because it has nothing to do with control or change. Because they're like, you're not going to change me. And I was like, thank God. I don't want to change you at all. Like, thanks for naming that. I want you to become you in all of the ways that like the boys that I work with, and for myself, that I think are me, are often quite limited in their expression, right? So all the ways that I think I like want my life to be or to look is limited by my limited belief system in a lot of ways, or how I've been taught to think and feel about the world from my parents and my environment. And the amazingness, one amazing dimensions of Her Holiness Sai Ma and spiritual gurus is that they expand our belief of what's possible. And that changes our entire system to live life in an expanded, blissful, joyful, and totally unshakable way, right? That we both know innately.
Ah, yes. It's, I 100%. I mean, I think that coming from that viewpoint, without limitation, that what I see constantly with Saima is that she sees me to be someone greater than I know myself to be, and holds that vision of myself, even though I don't see myself that way, but then invites me into doing things, or, creates opportunities for me to step into that. And even when I can't see myself to be that person, I will often say yes, because I know that Saima has my best interest in mind. So that has happened so many times throughout my life. And then I can see it all weaving back around. Like one example is that we had this big event in Japan several years ago called the Mahayagya. And a yagya is a sacred fire ceremony that's very, popular in India. And then we had a huge one at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan with all of these different fire pits. And then all of these pundits came from India. And so I was given the opportunity to do the video for that event. And, in my career, in my professional career, air quotes, I'm a producer. And I've always wanted, when I first started out in film school, I wanted to be a director, but I went the producer path. And there is really a binary there, I would say, in the professional world, or not always, but in my world. I'm a producer, not a director. I work with directors. I'm a producer. That's the path I chose. And I've seen time and time again these opportunities arise, especially in the community and with Ma, to be a director. And so I didn't even realize that, but we did the Mahayagya, and then I had a team of 6 Japanese cameramen. They were all men. And we had a drone, and we had multiple days of filming, and I was responsible for coming up with what were the shots and what were the angles and how was I communicating with them and what was the frame rate and all of this kind of stuff. And then I edited the video. I worked with an editor to edit the videos, and they ended up being really magnificent. I watched them and was like, whoa, this is powerful for me to see. And then realizing that I directed those, and wow, I am a director. I am a director, and I have experience directing, thanks to Saima. And in this subtle way where Ma, you never even said it, but just invited these opportunities for me to see myself as someone that I couldn't even see myself to be. I couldn't see myself to be a director. And so I wasn't making choices in my career to fulfill that. Then Ma provided me with this opportunity to step into that. And then I got to see myself in that way. I see that so much with Ma, that there's I don't see myself that in a certain way. Ma gives me an opportunity, and then I do it. And then I look back and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm somebody who can do that. Have you ever had an experience like that?
Yes. I'm actually thinking of myself, and I'm thinking of the thousands of people that Ma has had that exact relationship with, right? That is.
Wait, are you saying that I'm not special? Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. I thought I was the only one. No.
Unique. Okay. You're so unique, not special though.
Oh.
I could have left out the not special part. You're so unique.
I'll take it. Yeah. It's comforting.
Okay. Well, as you were telling your story, I was so remembering that time, which at that event, I became a monk, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, get a low angle. Shoot this high speed. And in the meantime, you are becoming a monk. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that somehow. My bad. A lifelong
commitment. You're like, get the angle. Zoom in. In. It's a touching moment. Exactly. But 1 year before that, I was in a relationship, and at that time, it was the best relationship I had ever been in terms of how I felt. It felt like I was living in a romantic comedy where I had finally fallen in love, quote unquote, fallen in love with this woman who I had adored from afar, where I was living for 7 years or something. Anyway, I ended that relationship because it just didn't feel right. And this is a much longer story, but for the next 6 months, I decided after I ended that relationship that I was not going to date anyone for a year because I had made such a catastrophic mistake, and I'd really hurt this person who I really loved deeply, and hurt myself too in terms of just yeah, there's a lot there. But I
Yeah,
took
that's a whole. Stay tuned for a 3-part series on Jivan Das's last relationship.
the last relationship. So over the next 3 to 6 months, I spent a lot of time by myself. And what bloomed, we could say, was this desire to serve. And at the same time, a completion of a desire to be in a romantic relationship with someone else. And after about 6 months, just doing the math, so about 6 months after I'd ended that relationship, and previously to then, we have been very close with other monks and nuns, celibate monks and nuns in our community. I had been for 10 years prior to that, and I always said, man, if I was ever to become a monk, I would not be living in the world. Like, I'd go fly to India and live in an ashram where there's like no temptation and you're fed vegetarian food without garlic and onions, and you just pray and meditate and serve people all day, and it's just that. And I was like, that's the only way I would ever do it. So 6 months goes by and Saima calls me and says, are you ready to be initiated? Or no, not even are you ready? I'd like to initiate you in October. And I just, without even thinking, I was just like, great! So I never could have imagined living in the world, living in the United States, having a job, having colleagues, friends, eating takeout, being surrounded by, all the worldly things. But this life that I am living, I was incapable of imagining, even not that many years ago, right? And that was, I think, 4 or 5 years ago now. But that's the power of a guru and the blessing of a guru, a spiritual guru, is that they support us in creating a life that we may not have ever known was possible. And I am so fulfilled and happy in my life as a celibate monk living in a small mountain town in Colorado by myself. It's fantastic. I love it. And I never would have imagined that. And I think that's what's possible for each of us in our own unique way, is for everyone to become a monk and nun. No, I'm just kidding. No, of course not. Just every person to have their own unique expression in the world of whatever that would look like, and actually having our purpose. Just a quick side note, I feel like so many people in the world are looking for meaning and purpose in their lives, and I think that's the gift of working with a spiritual guru, is that we don't have to search anymore. It's just revealed to us in a really effortless way, because that's the gift of the guru, which is an embodiment of our own higher self, is that they deliver that to us, they gift that to us through our own dedication to transformation, right?
Yeah, and that purpose and that meaning it's not like a one-stop thing. They're like, here's
Right.
the piece of paper with the meaning of life on it, and then you open it and you're like, thank you, guru, now I get it. It's like,
See ya!
yeah.
Right.
It's different for everyone. And
Right.
I think that, it's true. It's like that the guru is an accelerator. It's an well, guru means really in Sanskrit, gu, darkness, ru, light, right? From darkness to light, someone who brings us from darkness to light. And I see that that is a journey that we are all on. I do believe that is a journey that we are all on, whether that takes place in this lifetime or over multiple lifetimes. We are all on that journey in terms of awakening. But being around a guru supercharges it. It's like a jetpack for that. So it's like something that may have happened and unfolded anyway over the course of multiple lifetimes, being able to happen in a much shorter span. Right. It's like working out with a personal trainer. Right? I've just started going to the gym in the past few months. So it's like one thing to just like pick up some 3-pound weights and be like, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, that's good. Versus working with someone who's knowledgeable and in personal training, who can teach you how to like work out the different muscle groups or all these things that you may not know about the body, and completely change your body
Yes.
over a course of time. It's the same
Yes.
thing with a guru with our internal world. So
Yes.
it's something that we can do on our own for sure, but it's just like it takes a lot longer, and working with an expert is obviously preferred. I mean, I can see the same thing, and I think, like you said, in the world of transformation, like if I think about working with Ma, what that has it's interesting because for me it's difficult because I've known Ma since I was a child, really, since I was 16. So it's hard for me to just like distinguish between like what was me before and what is because of Ma, because everything is because of Ma in my life. Like the way I see my life. My company is called The Light. The way that I see the world, the way that I see energy and relationships and all of that is born from Ma and Ma's teaching. So it's like I can't take that out of myself now. And I think that like I can certainly remember how I was, before I met Ma, which was actually I'd rather not think about that. Not good. No bueno. I don't really remember how I saw the world, though. I can remember my state, but I can't really remember how I saw the world. But I think that there is something so wonderfully like foundational and supportive and aligning about having a guru and knowing, having access to somebody like that and to that framework. Yeah, I mean, I think everything that I've created in my life is a result of that.
Yeah, 100%. The other piece that I was just thinking about too is that when people come and spend time in the community or with Ma, there's what's said and then there's what's not said in the whatever it might be, a program or a satsang, like a meditation or just like a discussions that we'll have. I love what's said and the teachings of our tradition that relate to every aspect of life. But I equally, if not more so, love what's not said, which I would just call the vibe, the energy, and what we call Shakti, right? Divine energy. Because in that energy or in that vibe of our community, people get awakened to that divinity, to the perfection inside of ourselves. And that was another piece for me, is like when I think about inviting people to our events or to meet Ma, I get so thrilled about it because of what's behind all of the words, or what the words emerge from, which is the Shakti, the energy, the vibe of what happens when we come together with a combined intent of transformation, essentially, of evolving, of growing, of learning, of becoming more aware. And that energy that exists when we come together is so spectacular and infinite in its nature that's, I think, the most profound moments I've had haven't necessarily been what someone like you or someone else in the community has said to me per se, but it's been in the moments between the words or the energy behind the words and what that has awakened inside of me. And so I was thinking about inviting people to our year-end event, our virtual year-end event. I was like, listen, just come and just be there. You don't have to say or do anything. Just like be in the vortex, our vibe, and see what awakens inside of you. I mean, people don't even have to like agree or I mean, at a minimum, I think be curious. But other than that, just be in the energy of it and see what gets awakened. Because anyone who comes to that event will never be the same afterwards because of that being in the energy of what a guru produces. Their frequency is so high, Ma's frequency is so high that our cells, our frequency starts to vibrate, and our imagination, our intuition, our ability to create and a way and how we feel becomes so accelerated and enhanced, and everything that we could want just starts to just become unveiled with us, right? So that's the other piece for me, is just being in the energy of our togetherness is profound. Yeah.
So true. I think it's a vibration, like that acceleration is that acceleration of our frequency being raised. And I know when I walk, I've gone to so many events over the years, virtually or in person. And I always just think about how I am on like the first day and the last day. It's like the first day I'm usually just some sort of like grizzled, crusty New Yorker because it's been a while since I had like a drink of that sweet, sweet nectar Shakti. Or I usually come in like I feel almost like work is so nuts or travel was crazy and that I kind of like skid in like on my face like ugh. And then by the last day I'm like my skin, I'm like what is going, my skin is glowing, like what is happening, like I look so young and vibrant and I'm so filled with joy. Like I remember at the end of the event last year, which was virtually, and we were in our homes. It's like the energy doesn't care. The energy, right. Just energy is energy. And I remember walking out of my building and seeing like the guys that work at the front desk, like in a totally different way, where I was like, oh my God, I love you. Like I had felt so, I just like wanted to be with them. And I walk out on the street and the sun was sparkling in a puddle, and everyone I saw on the street, I was like, oh wow. I was like breathing in and breathing out. It felt almost like those times I've done like ecstasy in college, like oh wow, I'm breathing with the universe, but I hadn't done any drugs. I was like, oh wow, like, and that is all, like that's me. Like if you had put a GoPro in the corner of my apartment for that weekend, all you would have seen was me like sitting at my laptop, lying on my couch, eating a snack in the kitchen. And I live in a small apartment, so it would have just been seeing me walk around. Nothing dramatic would appear on the GoPro, but my entire state shifted from being in that vortex like you're describing.
Wow. I'm as heartened I am about hearing about your experience. I'm also seeing you in like fast motion from your GoPro, like on the couch, eating some food, laughing, smiling, crying, presenting, sleeping, and then you emerge.
Pretty much. What's happening? I wish you could put a GoPro on the inside. A GoPro can read energy, right? It's totally different story.
Yeah. So wonderful. I love this conversation. I feel so heartful, and I just love hearing. I love hearing you speak about your experience, generally about life, but especially about Saima. It's really sweet, so thank you.
Thank you, Jivan Das. There's so much more to say. So much more to say.